Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Farming Simulator 25 Map Guide. It is with great pleasure that I bring you, for the very first time, Kinlaig. But before that, this video is brought to you by Chad Bergman and Jolly Rancher Gaming. Thank you for being farm barons. So it is a great privilege to be able to provide you some early access coverage of the Highlands fishing expansion, and as a byproduct, the map guide for the map Kinlaig. We've got lots of videos planned for this weekend to cover the expansion and a live stream later tonight. But for now, let's take an in-depth look at the map. If we pull up the PDA, we're going to see that we start up by owning farmland ID 49, 50, 35, 20, 22, and 23. Should we choose to not own the starting farm, we will not own any of this land. The main farm will be built out exactly how we see it here, but we also will not have any starting machinery. Should we choose to not own the starting farm, we'll be able to buy this for $524,400. It does come with a sheep pasture associated with it. And then farmland ID 50 is where we're going to find our Highland cattle, and we can buy that for $84,672. Other farmlands of note on this map include farmland ID 60, which is going to include the buildable flour mill for $457,056. Directly north of that, but not associated with any particular farmland, is going to be the buildable castle at, well, not any farmland because it's not viable, but you can see it's between farmland ID 66 and 76. Farmland ID 71 is of note because it does have a cow pasture associated with it, and it's going to be viable for $101,160. Also, not on viable farmland, but between farmland ID 72 and 73, we also have a viable young fish breeding facility. The rest of the map is pretty much standard as you would expect, either viable forestry areas or viable fields. Now, this map does include all the standard crops available to us in Farm Sim 25, of course, with the addition of onions as a new starting crop. And at least for this particular save game, it is nice to see that we do have onions here at Farmland ID 17 growing at the start. So players could immediately dive into onions if we go and buy this farmland. Now, with respect to the precision farming soil map, should you choose to play this map with precision farming enabled, we are going to be making use of a generic soil map that is a part of the precision farming mod. It's a little depressing that we don't get a custom soil map here on Kinlaig with the expansion, but that's fine. We can see how that soil map is being applied to the fields here. For the western side, northwest, we've got a lot of silty clay and loam. Kind of more toward the middle of the map, we've got a mix of loamy sand, sandy loam, and loam. And then way over here to the northeast, we again have another concentration of loam and silty clay. With respect to our crop counter, once again, we're back to the generic crop counter. I feel it's another missed opportunity. I've talked a lot about this. I would really like to see each Giants map come with its own unique growth schedule. That way, when people do eventually make mod maps out of Kinlaig, probably whatever the next farm sim is, they'll be able to do that. Because right now it's locked behind DRM. We'll have a different crop counter than every other farm sim whatever map. With respect to animals, we do start out with a few sheep in our sheep building, and we do start out with a few Highland cattle. We do have contracts available on this map, including the new FS25 contracts, deadwood, wood transport, and stone crushing. And then with respect to productions, well, we do have quite a list of productions, 12 different productions on this map to be exact. We have the bakery, which is going to be pretty standard here, bread and cake. We have a biogas plant, again, pretty standard. We have our carpentry. We have a fish food factory, new with the expansion. And we're going to bring flour, soybeans, and oil, either canola, olive, rice, or sunflower, and we're going to produce fish food. We have a quarry where we simply supply water. They're going to use that water for a water jet to cut out big stones. We're going to be taking those big stones to the stonemason, where we're going to be able to make castle stones or roof shingles. We have our sawmill, pretty standard run-of-the-mill sawmill here. And then we also have our spinnery. We have our tailor. We have our vegetable processor, which is going to add fried onions, aka onion rings, to the mix. And that can be made with canola, olive, rice, or sunflower oil. We're going to be bringing onions and oil to the mix in order to get that. We also have the ability of making onion salt simply by providing onions and the good old onion soup. The rest of this stuff is pretty standard from Farm Sim 25 base game. We have the windmill. Once we build it out, we're going to be able to make barley, oat, rice, sorghum, and wheat flour. And then we have the young fish breeding facility where we can bring fish food and make young salmon or young trout. Or we have a different recipe here where we have slightly less fish food. Not really sure what's going on with that. We'll have to figure that out. And then we get a slightly different, I guess, amount of young trout. Now, with respect to sell points. Whoa, I tell you what. This map has a boatload of sell points. A lot of very specialty sell points. Little shops. I counted around 26 different sell points scattered around the map. So you will have ample variety of being able to sell various things wherever you may want. With respect to our vehicles, we do start out with a modest list of starting vehicles. And as I mentioned, we do have to own the farm in order to have these vehicles. As far as collectibles go, we have 12 rather interesting collectibles. Let's just call them stories or chapters. I'll explain in a little bit. Let's go ahead and dive into our starting fleet. We do start out with, well, a whole bunch of custom items that are part of the Highlands fishing expansion. For a car, we've got the Skoda Octavia. We then have, for a small tractor, the JCB Fast Track 2115 4WS. And our large tractor is going to be New Holland T8020. We have a Q4M loader arms, and for the loader, we have a pallet fork. We have the Bunning Series 140 trailer at the start, as well as the Horsch Credo 3 power harrow, and then the Eco Cultivator 300 cultivator. We have the Versa Cedar from Horsch, and it is typically paired up with this particular power harrow. Then we have the Massey Ferguson MS8570 harvester, header, and header trailer. For our mowing needs, we have the Samez KDF 341S front mower and the Boss Alpine 251 forage wagon. And then we wrap it all up with a 750 and 1,000 kilogram front weight. Now, with respect to mods and DLCs, while this map does not have any custom vehicles or implements, well, the DLC definitely does. And again, we're going to have a different video that's going to be covering this stuff in its entirety, including, well, being able to go out and go some fishing. With that, let's go ahead and kind of check out this farm. And everything on the farm can be sold. And I have to say, I am exceedingly happy to see that we once again have the ability to go inside of a farmhouse. So this is really neat. So we come inside our farmhouse, and we come in here to the right, and we have our wardrobe trigger kind of in our laundry room. Nice little living room here and kitchen. Low ceilings. You got to watch it. You're going to run right into that lamp. Little reading area. But we want to go upstairs. And, well, we can tell that these steps are well worn. Now, if we make our way around, we do have access to various rooms. Our bedroom is immediately to the left at the top of the steps. And that's where we're going to find our sleep trigger. We have our bathroom right to the left of the bedroom. And then, well, if we find our way up into the loft, we've got a little TV going on with some sort of, well, kids show. Maybe. Kind of a little weird. Just a nice little Easter egg. Now, another little cool Easter egg that I want to show off here is how the glass is working. So the glass in the windows and the doors, well, it's kind of wavy. It's kind of old. You know, glass is always flowing. It's technically liquid. And to that end, well, old glass is kind of wavy. So that's a really cool touch that I just wanted to point out. We have our sheep and goat pen here. So we have our pickup point for our wool and milk. We have our delivery point. Total of 32 sheep or goats available here, and we have 12 at the start. And then we have our food trough. Some more of our machinery and such. These stone walls can be removed if we go into build mode. And I have to say, every time Giants has released a new map for the game, going back probably if we go back to FS19, every new map that Giants has put out has been better than the previous maps. And in my opinion, the trend continues here. This map tops the base maps easy. And is easily the best Giants delivered map to date, in my opinion. We have fuel. Of course, we have our Skoda here in our garage. Continue to make our way kind of around the farm area here. Got some more machinery stored in here. And this is set up with walls that do have collisions. So in theory, you could store grain or other root crops in here. We have two three-sided silage bunkers. Nicely covered. Now, this is a new item that is a part of the map. I believe this is simply deco, but I will show you that once we get into build mode. We have our storage silo. So again, we can kind of store things here in piles. And we have our dump grate. And we got another kind of storage shed just kind of over here. I really do like this kind of old aesthetic. I'd love to know your lost thoughts at this point, just kind of seeing this part of the map. What do you think so far? We have our silo output pipe. And then we've got a decent little area here where we could put some other smaller structures down. Animal pastures or such. Caravan, I believe that's what you all call them over there. We call those campers over here. And let's just jump stone wall and make our way down here to our cow pasture, where we get our first look at the Highland cattle. So we've got room for 112 cows, and we have 15 at the start. We have our bale trigger, we have our food trough, and then we have our water trigger. Now, before we go too far, let's go ahead and check out build mode. So there's tons of things that are part of the expansion here with Highlands Fishing. And thankfully, if you own the DLC and activate it in any game save, you'll be able to have access to these new structures in any map. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the things that are new for Highlands Fishing. We've got several new buildings that are part of this expansion. We also have some silos that are also a part of this expansion. Some silo extensions. And we have a few new constructibles. So we have large tool shed. We have a buildable holiday home with hourly income. So that's kind of cool. Farmhouse. Various farmhouses that we can also build that are also a part of this expansion. We have the biomethane fueling station. So this is something I feel really was missing in the base game. We've got methane tractors, but no apparently way to refuel them. Now we do with respect to this tank. And again, this tank looks awful similar to that deco object over at the starting farm. We also have a pig food silo. It's part of this expansion. And then we also have a new electric charging station included with the expansion. With respect to factories, we have several new factories that are also placeable that are a part of this expansion and therefore available on the map. They are going to include the AS25. This is going to be able to take our raw onions from the field, further transform them into large bags of palletized clean onions. We have a bakery that is themed for the map. We have a new carpentry themed for the map, a fish food factory. We have a dairy. We have a quarry that we could place. We have a different sawmill, vegetable processor. We have our spinnery. We have a smaller spinnery. We have our stonemason and a tailor. With respect to sell points, we have a different stone selling point, just some containers. We have some different looking kiosks for a small and big farmer's kiosk. And then we have the new aquaculture section where we could place a fish pond. We could place our fish breeding facility. Or if we were at the coast, we could place an offshore aquaculture facility. And with this, we can go in and we can go to customize. And here we can change it from 1x2 to 2x2, 3x2, 4x2. With respect to animals, we do have some new cow buildings that are part of this expansion. Some new horse buildings, again, part of the expansion. We have a new sheep building, part of the expansion. And then let's talk a little bit about dogs. So we know from a recent blog post that we now have the ability to go with a different breed of dog. And in order to do that, we're going to go we're going to place our dog house, but we're going to go into customize once again. And from here, we can pick what breed of dog, what color of dog we're going to have access to. So if you want to have multiple dogs, Well, I don't think there's anything preventing you from putting down multiple dog houses and just picking the different dogs. With respect to other deco items, we do have some custom fences and hedges that are a part of this expansion. Quite a few of them, actually. Then we have just some general deco objects. That are also part of the expansion. With respect to ground textures, for the most part, the ground textures are standard FS25, but we do have custom trees. We have a beech, medium birch, we have a chestnut, Scotch pine, and Scottish spruce. And then we have some custom shrubbery that is also a part of the expansion and therefore the map. Now I want to get a little bit of altitude, and we'll just take a look at our starting farm location again. And then our cow pasture. I want to make my way over to farmland ID 71. So here we have farmland ID 71. And once you buy farmland 71, you'll have access to this large cow building. It's going to hold 69 cows. So we have our food trough and our straw. We have a delivery point for our cows, and why not? Let's go ahead and put some Highland cattle in. Some little babies. We have a bit of a kind of earthen-backed pull-through silage bunker. Again, one of the new assets with the expansion. We have our farm silo that we were dumping fill point. And then inside here we have 3 more areas where we could store root crops or grain if we wish to do it that way. Some basic equipment storage. And then we are not able to actually go inside of this farmhouse, which is a little disappointing, but I can kind of understand it. And this is kind of the secondary farm, if you will. That's here on Kinlaig. Now, I've gone ahead and purchased farmland ID 60, which is down here and kind of in the middle south of the map. And that's going to be where we have a buildable windmill. So this is going to be buildable production. And from the blog post, I thought it meant that we could build this and it was placeable. But it is not. It is pre-placed on the map, but it's pretty neat. So it does say plot ownership is required. You have to buy farmland ID 60, which we have already done. Now, in a different save, prepping for this map, I've gone ahead and built out the mill. And let me go ahead and put you a picture of the finished mill right here so you can take a look at it. And while you're looking at that, let's talk about what it takes to build the mill. You're going to need 3,000 units of cement bags, 10,000 units of castle stone, 2,000 units of roof shingles, 10,000 units of wooden beams, 13,000 units of long planks, 1,000 units of rope, and 4,000 units of fabric. If you deliver all of those things in a very timely manner, such that the construction is not waiting on you at any point in time, you can expect to build this mill out in a total of 15 months, 1 year and 3 months. So not the biggest construction project, but it will take a fair bit of time, even if you deliver everything in a very timely manner. Now, while we're talking about building projects, let's just make our way to the north here, and we'll go over to the castle. So the castle ruins here on top of the hill is another building project. Just like we had the museum on the American map, just like we had the temple on the Asian map, here we have our castle. This is not buyable land. This is basically a sell point. As we build this structure, we will get money for the product we deliver. And in the end, you see here a picture of what the finished product looks like. Now, this takes, again, if you delivered everything in a timely manner and it was never really waiting for any long period of time for the next products in order to get started with construction, you can expect to finish this building out in 3 years and 3 months. You're going to need to bring 31,500 units worth of wooden beams, 42,000 units of long planks, 57,000 units of castle stone, 20,000 units of roof shingles, and 13,000 units of cement bags. And it's going to complete in a total of 65 stages. So quite a long build process. Not as long as the temple, but definitely longer than both of the construction projects over on Riverbend Springs. Now, while we are kind of talking about cool new things with the map, and you know what I kind of missed? Let's go back here to build mode. And let's come over here to farmhouses, because I don't think I talked about the ability to place a farmhouse tent. We can go camping, and we can actually have a farmhouse here. This is something I wish we had way back in Farm Sim 19. In fact, there were some mods that included tents as kind of a starting farmhouse. So now you can really start from scratch and just live in a tent. There will be times where you'll need to purchase some machinery. You're going to come down here to Kilted Pistons in order to do that. We're going to find the vehicle shop just south of Farmland ID 5 and kind of just south of the main town. We've got our trigger inside. Let's go ahead and, well, let's pick up something fun. Like this Can-Am side by side. You see we've got really nice decorations here. What shop doesn't include kind of a retail area? But we also need to service our vehicles and machinery. And in order to do that, we're going to come over here to bay number 1. We do have the area outside the bay marked, so we're going to be good. We don't have to drive it on the inside. And our spawn point is here at the back. And I'd say a decent width to get out of the shop. Not too terrible narrow, given the size of these fields. But the vehicle shop isn't the only shop available to us. New with Highlands fishing, we have a harbor shop. So let's make our way. Let's kind of go around this maze of seagulls. I don't want to get, stuff on me. And we're going to come over here to this corner of the dock. right by the castle here. And we have another shop trigger. And from here, well, we can purchase boats. We can purchase a cargo vessel for $275,000. It's going to cost, well, $25,000 to transport it. I think that's kind of sunk costs because we don't have the option of transporting it ourselves. Or, looking for a little fun, we can buy ourselves a sport boat. And when we do that, boom, it just appears here floating in the water. And, well, for the very first time, let's go ahead and take off. In our new sport boat. Kind of neat. Kind of neat. All right. We'll just let that coast and, well, someone will eventually find it. Now let's talk about, well, I wouldn't say excessive, but quite the extensive amount of various sell points that we do have available. We do have a train sell point, so we do have the marker for the edge of the map, where of course we can drive the train off and sell product. I guess let's just start down here kind of at the docks. I'm going to be referencing the PDA quite a bit because, well, as you can see, there is a whole lot going on down here. We have our fish food factory coming up first. So we have our dump point, our interactive point, and our pallet spawn point here at the fish food factory. We have our fish market right by the fish food factory. And we're going to come in here and sell our fish, either our young fish or our adult fish. We also have then the fish market trigger on the back by the dock, where we would of course bring our cargo vessel loaded with adult fish. We also have an industrial building sell point. And this is where we kind of really get into the nitty-gritty of some places we're really only going to accept one thing. For example, in town, we've got lots of little shops, like board games. Well, what is a board games shop going to purchase? Well, they're going to purchase paper, for example. We also have the Glen Hat Company. What are they going to purchase? Right? We have Farmer's Kiosk. We have Copy Shop. Paper, right? We have Seaside Restaurant. We have an oil shop. We have Books and Poems. We have Wee Oatcake Bakery and the Nautical Gifts. So all those are kind of here in this town loop. I don't know if we're going to spend time taking a look at all of them, but I will kind of come and visit one or two. Right, so here we have tractors and harvesters, coffees, cakes, and sandwiches. The Hat Company, we've seen that in a blog post. All right, here we have Books and Poems. We have the kind of an apothecary shop, amongst a lot of others. wheat oat cake. Then we have the nautical gifts, working traffic lights, working don't walk lights. That's pretty neat. Then back here, we're going to have our dairy sell point, a logistics center east sell point, and then we have some electric charging stations. Pretty neat area overall, and I kind of like these little shops. Maybe they're a little bit in excess, given the fact that we've got 20 plus sell points around the map, but hey, spice is a variety of life, right? So here we have our tailor. We have our farmer's kiosk. Let's make our way back over here to the harbor. And try not to get, dirtied on by these seagulls. We have the new AI NPC. Not AI, sorry, new NPC. They're about as annoying as AIs, so that's why I got those confused. He's right here.
Good to see you, pal. Fisher dish.
How you doing, dude?
What brings you?
We're just going to stop talking with you. And remember I mentioned about the collectibles and the stories. Well, you're going to find scattered around the map messages in bottles. Just like this one. And we've now found chapter 4 of 12. So each message in a bottle is its own chapter in this storybook. So as you collect different chapters, you'll be able to read different parts of the story. Kind of neat. And at any point in time, should you so wish to read the entirety of the story, well, you'll have to come over here to the castle. And from the castle, if you come up these stone steps and you make your way over here to this door with the floaty book, you'll have access to all the chapters once, of course, you've found all the little stories. That's the collectibles for Kinlaig. So we have our animal dealership located right here. We have our bale sell point. We have the pig food silo. We have our manure buy point. We have our animal dealer buy point. And, well, Kate's hanging out here somewhere. Here we have the ability to rent the train. So then we can drive it for the various train sell points. We have our carpentry facility. And then we're going to find our warehouse. And of course, the warehouse is where we're going to be able to buy palletized finished goods, including things like fish food, if we don't want to make fish food ourselves. So pretty much everything that we can make, we could also buy, including those stones, which will get rather expensive rather quick. We also have our sell point down here at the warehouse. Yep. Let me come back here because I do believe we missed the bakery. So we have our bakery located right here. And we have a couple other shops over here on this side of the town that are also sell points. Let's continue to make our way kind of around the map. We have our train transfer silo. Take products in and out of the train. We can store them here. And then we can also dump and fill them from trailer. Got some on-point graffiti. Kind of fun. Now that we have the ability to get our boat, we can actually make our way over here to the little island here, where we have our lighthouse. Here's the lighthouse doesn't work all the time due to, due to having some wrecks right by it, but okay. We have our lighthouse. Magic tricks, kind of a little magic shop. Wonder what they're gonna buy. Probably paper. Maybe garlic. Who knows? Then here we have the fish breeding area. We don't have to place one down. We can just come here and buy this one for $95,000. Once we buy that, we're going to be able to then equip it with fish food, and we'll have young fish growing in these tanks. More on the fishing industry in a later video. Then we have our spawn point for our fish totes and our unload point for our fish food. Farmland ID 71, which you've already kind of taken a look at. Of course, if we continue to make our way up the hill, we have our constructible castle, which we've already taken a look at. Now, we saw this early on and speculated, what on earth could this be? Well, this is where we can buy coal. Okay. Let's come back here. Did anything require coal as an input? I don't remember anything requiring coal as an input. Maybe one of these placeable productions is going to require coal as an input. It would be rather interesting. Something definitely worth diving into later. Over by Farmland ID 34, Noah's just kind of hanging out. But there's lots of really cool details on the map, like these old rundown ruined structures. You're also going to find kind of some Stonehenge-like stone structures. Here's Noah's place. Just kind of hanging out. David's a little close to our starting farm for comfort, in my opinion. But really, I hold out that Noah's the most praised of all NPCs. So we have our stonemason interactive icon, dump point, and pallet point. Farmland 60, right? So there we have the windmill on a hill. Let's continue to make our way up the eastern side of the river here. And we're going to come to some more productions. Here we have our spinnery. We have our quarry. Our stone sell point. We have our vegetable processor right here. And then on the other side of the river, while we're at it, we have our biogas plant, where we have 3 pull-through silage bunkers. We have our digester. We have our digestate output. We have our slurry inputs. Back on the western side of the river, we have a fuel point. And then we've all seen this grand train arching bridge. We'll just kind of follow this around. And once again, we have a rent train trigger here. We'll continue to follow this train, or train line, through the countryside. Till we get over here, where we have the feed in South grain sell point. And then behind us, we have a lime buy point. So I want to circle back over here to this water area. Kind of neat. Kind of neat indeed. We make our way up the river. We've seen this area. Then we have another couple sell points in the coffee house and the Toasties Soul. We got good old Farmer Ben. Got the train sell point here. Selling station coal. So we can buy coal, we can sell coal. Coal's still a little confusing to me. And we've all seen the train, right? We've all seen it. But we'll take a look at it again, because we all love trains. And folks, I think that's the run through and the highlights of Kinlaig. More on this map, more on this expansion as the weekend early access coverage continues here on this map. If you're not a subscriber, then please go ahead and consider subscribing. As I mentioned, we're going to be doing a live stream tonight here on the map, showing off the map itself, as well as, well, getting to some farming with the expanded vehicles and implements, and some of the other really cool features about this map, including the ability to fish, the onions, and, well, the new construction projects. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below with respect to this expansion. It's not too late to pre-order. In fact, you can pre-order all the way up till November 3rd and save 10% off. If you're on PC, please consider using my affiliate link down in the description below. If you're on console, then you'll need to use your appropriate platform's e-store in order to pick up the expansion. Until next time, happy farming.